Gonna make sure that's good. Mic check, mic check. Okay. Okay. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the live stream. My name is Gen716. Welcome to the Gens Sports YouTube channel. And today, again, was just going to do another preview of the Alabama Ohio State series. Since, of course, the national championship game is going to begin on Monday, but I also forgot that the college football award show was on today, so I had to catch up on that. And right now, I got that on right now. So of course, for anyone who did not know about the college football award show, of course, Xavier Collins, the outside linebacker for Tulsa, he took on the Bronco Nagurski, and he took home the Chuck Bednarik, which is Defensive Player of the Year. Devontae Smith took home the Bolitnikoff award. They just announced a couple of also award winners as well. I think the one punter from Georgia Tech, he won the Ray Guy Award, and then I just missed out who won the Community Service Award, but that just happened as well. So we got more of that stuff going on, so we'll cover that. We'll also talk about Alabama, Ohio State, talk about the impact players, matchups, situations, news coverage. We'll talk about all that stuff, and then of course we'll also do our live Q&A, which of course I will answer you guys' questions in the live chat. So again. Excuse me. Again, welcome anybody who's just joining up the chat. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Let's get this show straight on the road. So I'm seeing the usual suspects. I see Sarah, Luke, Crimson Brave. I see you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for stopping by. Moderators, thank you so much for coming by the chat. And let's get this thing popping. Let's definitely moderate this chat. Your mom, I see him, Santiago Gonzalez. Able to see them in the chat as well. Yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by the chat. All right, so Crimson Brave actually brought up some news. He said that Ohio State is going to be missing a couple of players from the defensive line. And if I don't know who it is, definitely might have to do some research on that one. But if that is true, that's huge. That's huge, especially going against Alabama's offensive line. Um, that's huge, and that's actually one of the things. That was actually the first thing I wanted to talk about was Alabama's offensive line going against Ohio State's defensive line. I actually wanted to talk about that because I actually feel like that is going to be the biggest impact going into that game. We talk about a lot of things. We talk about receivers going against corners. Got to talk about these trenches. So I don't know if that's particularly true or not. But if that is true, that Ohio State's missing a couple of linemen, especially if they're starting. I don't know if they're starting guys. Crimson, are those are they starting defensive linemen or are they just backups? Crimson. It's one of the things I got to figure out too. But yeah, that is going to be absolutely huge if they definitely miss those players. Definitely don't want to miss out on those players. Those are huge, impactful players right there. And speaking of offensive linemen for Alabama, my boy Lander Dickerson won the Remington Trophy Award. And look at that. Look at that line. Look at the entire group. Look at that. Look at that group celebrating. That's some dope. That's some dope stuff right there. Leonard Dickinson, though, winning the Remington Award, which is the best center in the nation. I've been saying he's the best center in the nation for a while. Shout out to Leonard Dickinson again. I wish he was playing in this game, but shout out to that entire Alabama offensive line. Those guys definitely deserved it, and that's awesome. That's awesome right there. Shout out to Leonard Dickinson for winning the Remington Award. Um, Okay, Crimson said that he believes that those guys are starters. Let me actually do some research on that real quick, guys. So I'm not saying anything so far. I'm not saying anything so far, but it could happen. It could be true, could be not be true. We're obviously gonna have to find that. We're obviously gonna have to find that out, of course. But yeah, that's huge. If they're missing a couple of starters, whether if it's Tommy T, whether if it's Garrett, whether if it's Tyler Friday, that's gonna be huge if they are definitely gonna be missing some players on that defensive line. No, he's not, Sarah. Landon Dickerson is not playing. He had a nasty knee injury versus Florida, so he's not going to be able to play. Chris Owens, his backup though, he will be starting for Landon Dickerson. Oh, Master Teague is from your city, Luke. That's what's up. That's what's up. I actually kind of felt bad for Master Teague. I know he had a nasty. He tore his ACL. Thankfully, he was able to get back in the football field. But ever since that injury, Trey Sermon came in, stepped up, and took the spot. I actually kind of feel bad for Master Teague. Master Teague he's a very underrated running back, averaging like almost a career 6 yards a carry. And he was supposed to be the man, but of course, torn ACL. And then Trey Sermon, obviously, he's had a prolific career at the University of Oklahoma. It was just natural that he was going to be the next man up, and he never lost that spot ever since. So, Master Teague's a beast, but I actually do kind of feel a little bad from that. His spot was kind of taken away from him. Yeah, man. Again, Master Teague, he's very promising, man. He's a very promising kid, man. Again, injuries are kind of derailing him, and I heard that he was a beast during the off season, working out, gaining some weight as far as the good weight, building muscle, working on his craft, and the fact that he had that nasty injury, it just put him on the sidelines. Now, of course, Master Teague is playing, but I'm not sure if he's coming back next year, but I do hope he does come back next year, and I hope he's healthy because I would love to see Master Teague as a starter. I think he's a guy that's a lot of people kind of overshadow. A lot of people just kind of forget him because, of course, you look at J.K. Dobbins and obviously what J.K. Dobbins was doing the last 3 to 4 years of his career. Um, obviously Master Teague was the backup guy, and a lot of people kind of forgot him and throwing him away in the fray. But and now you have to deal with Trey Sermon now, and especially when this is supposed to be your job. So hopefully this doesn't hurt his overall confidence. Hopefully he just has to come back, and I want to see him play, man. Hey, what's going on, Raspberry man? Thank you so much for stopping by the stream. Appreciate it. Yeah, no one wants to get this game postponed. No one wants this game to be postponed at all. If I mean, first of all, you got to deal with the NFL. You got to deal with the NFL, with wild card weekends. And, obviously those games are Saturdays and Sundays, but, Monday night, obviously those ratings are going to fall a little bit. That's exactly why they want this game to continue before the wild card games start to happen. Um, but now if you kind of postpone it, now you're in the divisional rounds. I mean, you're just competing with the NFL, and that's again when you're competing against the NFL, you're gonna lose most of the time. You're gonna lose most of the time by competing with the NFL for ratings and stuff like that. Then you have to consider NBA basket. You got to consider basketball and all these sports coming about. So obviously they don't want this game to be postponed. Ryan Day said himself that they're good to go at least for now. Hopefully there's not a rise in COVID cases, but yeah, I agree with you, Crimson. Hopefully this game is not postponed. Really? You know, I said this yesterday during the live stream, Sarah, is that, typically when Alabama is in the national championship, we all know no one wants Alabama to win but Alabama fans. But it seems like this year everyone wants Ohio State to lose. Everyone's on Alabama's side, especially the ones that don't like Alabama. It seems like they're on Alabama's side. And I think there's a bunch of reasons why. I think it's because Ohio State, they played in 6 games. And I think it's because of all the situations and Ryan Day's comments and all these, weird COVID cases and these cancellations happening. And especially, and then you got to include the Big Ten. What the Big Ten commissioner did with pretty much canceling the season and jeopardizing the college football season. I think that a lot of people just don't want a Big Ten team to win and to have a to have really the Big Ten conference take home a national championship when they almost ruined the season. I think that's why a lot of people are going against Ohio State this year. So I think a lot of people are just on Alabama's side for that just particular case. But next year come around, if everything is normal and everything comes around, if Alabama ends up going to the college football playoffs, or even during the regular season, everybody would probably root against Alabama just to lose. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Crimson. I would love to play just uh, a healthy Ohio State football team. I don't want to beat a team that's hurt, and then all the excuses come about. And I'm not saying that Ohio State fans are definitely going to be making excuses, but obviously it's football, especially this particular game when impact. I mean, I remember when I still to this day, Texas fans are making excuses about why they lost that game to Alabama during the national championship. They'll say if Jared McCoy never would have got hurt, Texas would have won. I mean, those type of excuses, they're gonna continue on for a very very long time. So. I don't think Ohio State fans will make the excuse anyway, but I would love to play a healthy 100% team. If this game is postponed, I think, hey, that's more time for Fields to heal up, and these players can recover from their COVID, and we can have a game where everyone is close to 100%. But obviously, I mean, the show goes on, and as far as everything goes, we got a football game on Monday. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people saying that are idiots. I mean, Clemson is easily a top two, top three team in the nation. Talent wise, top three in the nation. Coaching staff, maybe top two in the nation. I mean, Clemson, they're an elite team, and Ohio State thrashed them. I mean, so for anyone who's saying that, I mean, they're just being ignorant at that point. Again, I feel like all this hate is coming from the fact that the Big Ten conference literally almost, I mean, the Big Ten commissioner and all those people on the top literally almost ruined the season. They almost ruined the season for all of us. And I feel like they just don't want a Big Ten team to be on top because just imagine an 8-win team winning the national championship. I mean, it's not going to, especially from a conference that almost ruined the season, it's not going to look good. So a lot of people are just against Ohio State. I think simply for that particular reason. And I think they're on Alabama's side, which again, typically you don't see that happening. Everyone is normally against Alabama this all the time, but not particularly this year. Yeah, tell me about it, man. I missed the Dowdle season for real. Hey, listen, man, look, Justin Fields says he's fine, but I'm telling you, man, if you've ever just bruised ribs, you're gonna feel it. No matter how many shots you take, you're gonna feel it, man. You're gonna feel bruised up. So, Justin Fields, I think he's playing in this game. He's not gonna be at 100% though. I don't think he's gonna be at 100%. And one of the things that I'm honestly looking forward to, and I've been saying this for like the last 2 to 3 streams, but I am really looking forward to see if he's going to be scrambling. If he's going to be scrambling, if the play breaks down, is he going to be taken off? And if he does take off, right? Is he going to initiate contact? Is he going to try to slide early? I mean, I'm very interested to see how Justin Fields will play. Just more, not more as a pocket passer, because we all know Justin Fields' ability as a pocket passer. He's elite. But again, a huge a huge thing in his game is definitely the run game. He loves to he can scramble. He has that athleticism. And now taking that extra dimension from his game is obviously something that Justin Fields is probably not even going to be used to. Now, of course, if Ohio State's offensive line can have a phenomenal game and they can just protect him and he's not taking hits, then Justin Fields wouldn't mind it. But when the pocket starts to crumble a little bit, and when it comes to predicated pressure, Alabama's one of the best teams in the country when it comes to predicated pressures, right? They know how to draw up. They know how to draw up the plays to get to the quarterback. That's one thing Alabama has been good at all year. So obviously, the pocket will crumble. The pocket is going to crumble. How will Justin Fields with especially when we all know that he's not going to be at 100%? How is he going to be, right? Especially if that extra element is going to be taken away from him. Yeah, it's like it's hard to breathe, man. I mean, like when you bend down and try to pick something up, it feels like you got stabbed. Like it feels like you got stabbed like so many damn times, man. It is a bitch. It's a bitch, honestly. And so it's not going to be easy at all, man. It's not. And then we also have to worry about the hip because it's not just the rib, it's the hip. He has a hip, they're saying that something was also wrong with this hip as well. And as soon as I heard the word hip, I think of Tua. Not saying he's going to suffer a Tua injury, but if there's more to the injury than what these people are kind of leading on to, and let's say it's close to being a serious injury, but Justin Fields he's just toughing it out and he's trying to play. I don't want to see this kid honestly with a potentially career-ending injury. I don't want that to happen. So I'm not saying that's gonna happen, of course, but obviously with Justin Fields and everything that, of course, he's gone through, he's a tough kid. Obviously, very, very, tough, resilient. But you don't want to see these nasty injuries happen to these kids. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Crimson. I mean this. And by the way, the Disney Spirit Award that goes to Derek Rencher from the University of Clemson. So congratulations to him for winning the Spirit Award. But yeah, I agree with you, Crimson. This is going to be a high scoring football game, and it's going to come down to a couple of things. It's going to come down to who's going to win more of the offensive line versus D line battles on both sides of the ball. Uh, you know, can Devontae Smith get open? Is Jaylen Waddle going to be useful in this football game? Can Chris Olave really defeat Patrick Surtain on the one-on-one battles? Will Garrett Wilson become a huge impact player? And will the offensive line kind of hold up to the predicated pressure that Alabama's defense will spew? Right? There's a lot of things, of course, like I just said, it's not a few, it's a lot of things I just said, but it's going to come down to pretty much the one-on-one type of positional battles that of course is going to win and lose you a lot of games. I think the ultimate thing is game management, situational. Nick Saban is a guy that has lost battles because of his game management, and he's won battles. He won a national championship because of his game management. Of course, he's won two national championships because of his game management. That might be something that Ryan Day is not completely used to. And that one factor might actually be the difference between winning a national championship, especially because we all agree, for the most part, this is going to be a close game. I think all of us in this chat can agree that this is probably going to be a close, high-scoring football game. So this game management, the situational moments in this game, it could come down to these coaches of how they really handle the game. So also one of the things that I also wanted to touch on too is Jaylen Waddle, right? Is Jaylen Waddle going to play? I think that's the thing. We've been speculating on it. Of course, the media asked Nick Saban today if Jaylen Waddle was going to play. Nick Saban just pretty much said that, hey, I don't know. As far as I've seen in practice, he looks pretty good. But I don't. But for the most part, he is a game time decision. That was confirmed. He is a game time decision. If he's not now, I will say this: whether if he's going to be playing or not, the one thing that's going to happen now is that Ryan Day and this defensive coaching staff for the Ohio State Buckeyes, they're now going to add Jaylen Waddle to the game plan. They now are going to go back and look at the first 3 to 4 games that Jaylen Waddle, first 4 or 5 games that Jaylen Waddle played. They're going to take a look at those games and they're going to look at how did Alabama utilize Jaylen Waddle uh, for that offense to be that much dynamic? Because clearly, when you take Jaylen off the football field, the offense is still dynamic. But when Jaylen Waddle's on the football field, that offense is damn near impossible to stop. So there's a lot of question marks when it comes to how to stop Jaylen Waddle, especially when he goes down the football field. How do you stop him from going over the top of you? They're going to implement that now. That coaching staff at Ohio State, they're going to implement that in their scheme. Obviously, they're going to implement that now. So again, whether if Jaylen Waddle plays or whether if he's going to get limited snaps, it's going to have Ryan Day and that coaching staff's attention. Jaylen Waddle again is a game time decision. We're obviously going to have to find out about it. But but if he does play, how much will he play? Is he going to be limited? Is he going to play a full game? Is he going to be on special teams? Because obviously the whole point, I mean, Jaylen Waddle, the reason why he even got to this point of being hurt is because he got hurt on a kick return. He returned it, even though he should never even returned it. He got hurt on the kick return. So is he going to play special teams? That's one. Of course, that's a lot of questions that, of course, we're going to find out on Monday. I think Nick Saban, he's not really going to answer it. He's not going to answer this thing. Probably never until we actually see Jaylen Waddle on the football field. He is, I think, a game time decision at the last possible moment. Yeah, I agree, Sarah. Notre Dame had no business being in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame was there. I mean, they got in, but at this point, it's like looking at A&M's performance against the North Carolina team that didn't even have their best players in there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that as well. It's like I don't. If A&M would have gone in there, they would have got smoked by either Bama or they would have got smoked by Clemson, Ohio State. A&M would have got smoked. So I mean, you could have put Cincinnati in there. I think Cincinnati would have definitely given a better matchup. You guys know how I feel about the college football playoff system and the whole thing is flawed. But it is what it is at this point. And speaking of Texas A&M, Kellen Mond actually declared for the NFL. So I'm actually sad. I'm sad that Kellen Mond declared for the NFL draft because Kellen Mond, man, he made my life so much easier at Alabama. Like I knew that Alabama was going to win games because of Kellen Mond. It's not because he's bad. He's actually a pretty good SEC quarterback. But he didn't do it. He's like Ian Book. He's not going to win you against. He's not going to win against the elite football teams. He'll win against mediocre to maybe good competition, but against elite football teams, he's not that quarterback. So now I'm actually a little bit afraid of A&M next year because they got a lot of talent coming back. And if Haynes King can develop, or whoever they're going to recruit, or whatever quarterback they have, they might look to the transfer portal. I'm actually more afraid of them than fearing of going against Kellen Mond. But again, Kellen Mond, hopefully this kid gets drafted and we'll see what happens about his NFL career. Who knows? He could develop to a pretty good NFL quarterback. Let's see here. I feel like let's go back to that comment. I missed it. Sorry if I'm not reading all you guys' comments. Yeah, Jalen Waddle, J Rock. Jalen Waddle makes a difference when it comes to stretching, when it comes to just stretching out the field. Like defenses have to respect his speed. Even if he's not at 100%, defenses have to respect his speed and they have to respect his route running ability. Jalen Waddle is one of the best route runners in college football. I know people kind of, they look at the electric playability and all that stuff like that, but he is, Jalen Waddle he's electric. And he takes the top out of a defense. Mac Jones, I feel like one of the more underrated parts of his game is the check down. And, for the most part, Alabama loves to go play action. They love to take shots down the football field. They love to get those deep passes. Now, no one has stopped Devontae Smith. John, for the most part, when Devontae Smith does his thing, it frees up John Mechie underneath to make some plays. It frees up Slade Bolden underneath, and then obviously Jaleel Billingsley. It frees him up on overrides and crossing routes, and even Jaleel Billingsley can take the top off. But Jaylen Waddle just adds an extra dimension that just makes life so much easier, not just for Mac Jones, but for Steve Sarkisian, for especially for him to drop plays, call out plays, especially against any type of defense that they believe um, that this offense can work against. And we've seen some really, really good defensive, some defensive schemes that still couldn't stop Alabama from going over the top when Jaylen Waddle and Devontae Smith was in the lineup. Yeah, Santiago. I would say from both sides, both for Alabama and Ohio State. I mean, whoever wins the defensive matchup is winning the national championship game. Both guys have not both guys, both teams have elite offenses. They got playmakers all around on the outside. They got the running game. They got the offensive line. It really comes down to the defense. And I think what's so kind of glaring is that both teams have a little bit of a weakness on the defensive side of the ball. It's like they're really, really good defenses, but they're not really elite defenses. Now, Ohio State kind of drew the first draw of saying, yeah, if you don't really take us seriously, we're gonna smash you. Alabama, for the most part, we've seen them get smacked in the mouth. We've seen them respond to the challenge, but against the elite offenses, against the really good offenses, we really haven't seen Alabama do that well. Now, of course, there's the LSU game that I think a lot of Bama fans can look forward to because LSU had a really good offense at the end of the day, and they held them down to 17 points. Now, they had a true freshman quarterback in TJ Finley, and obviously, since Mac Johnson was the starting quarterback, uh, LSU, for the most part, has taken over. Um, but we have seen Ohio State against a really good offense like Clemson pretty much shut them down. And that's something to look forward to. And that's why I got to start doing some research about Ohio State's defensive line. Because if they're missing two starters on their defensive line, and maybe you guys know in the chat and you guys can tell me, that is huge. That is very, very huge if they're missing starters off that defensive line. Yeah, Ohio State, man. Ohio State, man. When it comes to like utilizing tight ends, finally did it. They finally used guys like Ruckert and Smith. Those finally utilizing their tight ends. And I talked about this earlier, guys. Alabama has trouble stopping tight ends. Now I will say this: are these tight ends? Are they in the same level of a Kyle Pitts or a Kenny Yeboah? That's really the question. Um, are they on that level? Now, of course, these guys are athletic. They're big. They can definitely shield defenders. They're really good in the red zone. However, their route running ability wasn't the best I've seen. I mean, they got open, but they're not Kenny Yeboah with his athleticism and his speed, and they're not Kyle Pitts with his route running ability and his catch radius. I don't think so. Now they're red zone threats, and Alabama has struggled against them. I will say this though is that Malachi Moore and Brian Branch, those guys can make plays on the ball. Really, Ohio State, when if they ever go to their two tight end sets and they want to utilize that, I am interested to see if if they're gonna attack Malachi Moore and Brian Branch, because even though those are playmakers and they can attack the ball, they're still true freshmen at the end of the day, and they're gonna make mistakes. Now, of course, if Jordan battles against them, or they're lined up against the linebackers, against Dylan Moses and against Dylan Moses or Christian Harris or Jordan Battle or Daniel Wright, they're gonna straight up attack them. Um, but again, I am interested to see against Malachi Moore and Brian Branch, are they gonna attack? Something I definitely would like to see. Okay, so Gojay said they're not missing starters. Again, I'm not too sure about that as well. Again, I would love Ohio State to kind of be healthy. Um, but obviously, again, we're going to find out and just see what happens on Monday, I guess. Yeah, you make a good point there, Raspberry. Is that Trey Sermon's really good in the passing game? He's an extra weapon that can definitely catch the football out of the backfield and can be utilized. Ohio State, the last couple of games, they used him a lot in the screen game. Um, Now, of course, is he better than Najee Harris? And speaking of Najee Harris just won the Doak Walker Award. So shout out to Najee Harris for winning the Doak Walker Award. I'm not gonna lie to you, hey, LSU fans, man, LSU fans, for the most part, they kept talking about taking home all these awards, man. Alabama is taking home awards, man. They took home the Heisman, the Bolitnikoff Award. They took home the Maxwell Award, and they got the Doak Walker Award. And who knows? They could take the Luke Rose Award in the Jim Thorpe Award. So, man, they're taking home a lot of awards. But yeah, not, is Trey Sermon better than Najee Harris in the receiving game? No. I mean, you're right. You can split Najee Harris out on the outside. You can put him in the slot, and you can utilize him as an extra receiver. But Trey Sermon's good enough in the screen game that he can definitely help and make it an offense that much better, make an offense that more dynamic, and really gets the defense guessing, gets the defense on their toes, to say. By the way, we got 24 people in the live stream. Again, thank you guys so much for showing up. Definitely would appreciate if you guys slap that like button. Definitely helps out. Definitely helps me out because you already know YouTube's algorithm is not that good. So again, slapping that like button just definitely just definitely helps out the channel and definitely helps us try to help this channel grow. And if you guys like the comment here and if you're not subscribed here, definitely hit that subscribe button, especially with more content, more live streams, more videos coming out in the future, which I would definitely provide for you guys. So again, if you guys are new here, definitely slap that like button and definitely subscribe, turn on those notifications because we will be live streaming. Also Monday, we will be live streaming for the national championship game. So we will be live streaming, having a watch party. Of course, I wish I can actually stream the actual game, but we will be having a watch party for the national championship. So make sure you guys stop by on Monday night. We will be starting around 7, maybe 7:30, right before the game starts, and we can definitely chat it up. Hell yeah, man! Again, we will be covering a lot of Alabama, Ohio State this entire week. Also, we'll be doing NFL playoffs too. So if you guys have any favorite teams, I know a lot of you guys are Ohio State fans that are in this definitely in the live stream. So if you guys are Browns fans, we will definitely be live streaming a lot of the NFL games. So you guys will definitely stop by during Saturday and Sunday. And then of course we have the national championship game, which I just talked about a little bit earlier. All right, appreciate that, Santiago. Of course, Santiago coming on here in the clutch as always. Yeah, Steven, that's actually what I was going to talk about in a second, man. Um, yeah, Ohio State. One advantage that I think they have is that they know how to stop elite. They know how to stop the run game. Now, I will say this: is Clemson's offensive line was it that good? Was it overrated, or is Ohio State's defensive line? Did they come together at the right time and at the right moments? And of course, a lot of those guys are 4 or 5 star guys. Tyler Fridays, the hookers of the world, the TTs, those guys are monsters, right? The Garretts of the world. Is was Clemson's offensive line though? I know they don't have that much experience. I know that Clemson's offensive line is not the same. Was it good? Was it that good, or were they just overrated? Was Ohio State's defensive line that good, or was Clemson's offensive line overrated? That's something that I am honestly wishing. But of course, they stopped a very important part in Clemson's game. That's the run game. Now, Alabama, can they survive without Najee Harris running the ball and having 100 yards? Yeah, they can. I mean, they've already proven it. We've seen Mac Jones throw for 400 yards and Najee Harris have like 40 something yards. Najee Harris doesn't need to have 100 yards to win for Alabama to win this football game. They're going to utilize Najee Harris in a bunch of different ways. Now, the question is that can they stop him completely in the receiving game, in the run game? That's something that I'm honestly interested in it because when Clemson shut down Travis Etienne, they not only shut him down in the running game, they shut him down whenever he had an opportunity in the passing game. Najee Harris is a very important part of this offense. Can Devontae Smith can be stopped? No, I don't think Devontae Smith can be stopped. I don't think Ohio State has the secondary to stop Devontae Smith. But can they stop Najee Harris? Absolutely, they can. So obviously, we're going to find that out on Monday. But that is a very, very important part going into this game. Is Najee Harris, the impact that he can have, which running back can be good because we haven't really seen Alabama well, we've seen it. Notre Dame's they took out Kyron Williams, but for the most part, I don't know. I still am not that much of a believer in Alabama's run D. It's more like it's more like they're good, but they're not great in a way. It's like the secondary is shaky. They only got like two good players in the secondary, in my opinion. The run game is a little shaky. It's good, not great though, in my opinion. I don't think Trey Sermon's better than Etienne. I think Travis Etienne is better, in my opinion. I think Travis Etienne is a guy that not he's probably he's one of the best receiving backs in the league. He's one of the best receiving backs in college. I think he's a great run blocker. He's a great, not a great run blocker. He's a great pass blocker. He actually can run block too. Um, and I think he's faster. I think that speed, that straight line speed he has is just amazing. I will say this, however, I would probably take Trey Sermon over Travis Etienne. And the reason why I say that is because Trey Sermon doesn't have fumbling issues. Travis Etienne has fumbling issues. And that is the most important trait of a running back is can you hold on to the football? Like when people ask me, would you rather take Najee Harris or Travis Etienne? I'm taking Najee Harris in a heartbeat. Why? Because Najee Harris can hold on to the football. Now, is it fixable? Hell yeah, it's fixable. But over the last 4 years, we have seen Travis Etienne struggle with holding on to the football. Yeah, I agree, and I think that that's honestly pretty impressive because even though we like to criticize Ohio State for not really having their for having the limited amount of games that they had, the fact that you had a limited training camp, you had limited practices, you had limited games. I mean, you were supposed to have 8 games. 2 of those games were canceled, including your rival game with Michigan. And, obviously there were times where Ohio State didn't look good. That defensive line didn't look good. For the most part, they just looked pretty inconsistent. So the fact that they were able to come around and kind of figure it out, even the Northwestern game, they kind of, Northwestern had some success, even though the score was low, it was a low scoring affair. Northwestern had some success, particularly in the run game too. So the fact that it was all coming together and they figured out how to get it together. I mean, Ohio State played their best game of the season. And it all started with the front. It started with Ohio State's offensive line. I think people don't talk about them, how much they came together and how much they improved and how much they improved in pass protection, calling out and how they were able to stifle Clemson's really good defensive front and Ohio State's defensive line with all those players finally merging together and getting pressure on the not only getting pressure on the quarterback and making Trevor Lawrence feel uncomfortable and have him play one of his worst games of his career. Now stopping Travis Etienne, stopping the main one of the main nucleus to how that team functions. That's just pretty impressive in my opinion. And by the way, Jim Morsay, the offensive lineman for the for Pittsburgh, he won the Bullsworth Trophy Award. So congratulations to him. Shout out to Pittsburgh. Uh, for winning the award. Like I said, we're missing a lot of these awards. Also, Kyle Pitts, they just announced that Kyle Pitts also won the John Mackey Award. Not a surprise, not a shock. John Mackey won the Mackey Award. I mean, that's not shocking. Kyle Pitts was by far the best tight end in college football, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. So shout out to Kyle Pitts. Shout out to those guys I just mentioned that won their awards. Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, as long as everybody's healthy and we don't have any significant injuries on Monday, that's pretty much all you can ask for. Oh, screw Dan Mullen. Screw Dan Mullen, man. I think for those who do not know, man, I don't like Dan Mullen. I think Dan Mullen's a piece of crap. Todd Grantham, I think there's rumor that he's actually going to get fired. I'm not too sure about that, but Todd Grantham should be fired. I mean, he was bad this year. He was really really bad. The one credit I give LSU is that Ed Orgeron fired Bo Pelini. He made a mistake with Bo Pelini, and he made a mistake by hiring Scott Linningham. Fired both those guys. Uh, if Florida's going to get anywhere, especially where they want to be, they need to fire Todd Grantham because they haven't been good defensive the last couple of years. Really, they've been good at getting to the quarterback, but they have not been as an overall unit. Florida has been bad the last couple of years. They need to fire. He needs to fire Todd Grantham. If he doesn't fire Todd Grantham, Florida's not going to go anywhere in the SEC next year. I guarantee you that, especially because Georgia's going to be a lot better, particularly on the offensive side of the ball as well. You make a good point there. Justin Fields is utilizing the check down. I agree. It's he's finding that. And that's one thing that was kind of missing from his game last year is that he will always kind of look for the big plays, and rightfully so, right? Ohio State has a bunch of players on the outside. But the fact that Justin Fields and that's huge for his development. Because in the NFL, guess what? You're gonna have the check down is gonna be your best friend. And Justin Fields, for the most part, we've seen him go through his progressions. We've seen him go through his different reads, including going through the check down. That's pretty important. So Justin Fields, man, this even though Justin Fields has not played a perfect season, we have seen improvement for Justin Fields um, this year. Again, we haven't seen the spectacular games in the regular season. We have though seen the progression and the development, and that's going to be great for him going into the next level. Okay, so Crimson is saying Dan Mullen pretty much kept, yeah, he kept Tiger Anthem. And then Dan Mullen's an idiot. Dan Mullen's an idiot. I mean, I don't like Dan Mullen. I think he's a piece of crap. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he's fake. I don't think he's a good person at all. I think he does not care that much about his players. He makes tons of excuses. He throws his coaches and his players under the bus. The one thing I'll give any other coach, and that's including Ed Orgeron, Ryan Day, Nick Saban, you never really hear them throw their players under the damn bus. That's one thing he does. He throws his players. He uh, throws his coaches. The fact that he called his players the scout team, I think, is embarrassing. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest. It's like I like Florida, but at the same time, as long as he's there, I'm not rooting for him to win any football games. What's going on, Amy? Amy is in the chat. What's going on? Shout out to Amy, aka Ames. Yeah, Dan Mullen's an excellent offensive mind. He's an excellent mind. Dan Mullen is a very excellent mind. He knows exactly what to do. Again, I think you mentioned it right, Jay, is that he was part of Urban's coaching tree. He knows exactly what to do. He's learned a lot. I mean, he's not a bad coach. He's a good coach, but I don't think. But just overall wise, I don't think he's a good person. What's going on, Kylan? Thank you so much for stopping by the live stream. Ooh, Ames playing Madden. Speaking of Madden, man. Speaking of Madden, no, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't have anything good to say about Madden. Madden sucks. Bring back NCAA football, damn it. We need NCAA football back, and not just bring the game back. Let's get the same developing staff that made NCAA 14. Because if they bring back NCAA, I'm telling you right now, they're gonna get the wrong staff, and then our game's gonna turn into crap. Bring back NCAA 14. Let's get the old staff back in here. Let's make football great again, man. I haven't played a football game in 5 years, and I just can't with Madden, man. With just replicating the same game over and over and over and over again. I can't really do with them. Bring back NCAA 14. Well, not 14, but just bring back the series, please. It is. I mean, from the gameplay that I've seen, it's so much better. It is shocking. It's like, how do you charge $60 for a product that's supposed to be better than 20 and then it's not? I mean, I just don't understand it. Yeah, I agree with you, Steven. Ohio State is nasty in the trenches, man. They got a lot of depth, they got size, they got speed. These guys have finally figured it out. I think last week they finally figured it out. Now, the question is, is that particularly with when it comes to just going against certain opponents, you're gonna play harder than playing your next opponent. There are just some games, man. Like with Alabama, I don't even think it's Auburn. I think LSU. I think LSU, man, when it comes to LSU, they play their hardest game of the year going against LSU because of the hype, the tradition, and there's so many NFL players that are playing on both sides that it just becomes that when that game is actually on, particularly in Death Valley, Bama will play their hardest game, and there's a ton of emotion after the game, especially because Alabama has a bunch of Baton Rouge natives. Ohio State, they played their hardest game of the year against Clemson. Now the question is, are they going to get burned out? Because they had the they haven't beaten Clemson in this century. Uh, yeah, they haven't beaten Clemson this century until, of course, last week, and then of course you finally did it after getting blown out 3 times. And especially what Dabo Swinney was saying, and no one really believed that Ohio State was going to do it. Are they going to get burned out going against Alabama? That's something that I was going to see. I mean, it may sound kind of weird, but it actually does kind of exist as far as that fatigue goes. All right, so we got the Jim Thorpe Award coming up next. I think this is going to go to Pat Surtain. So I think that if Pat Surtain wins, Bama would have gotten. I think they have four or five awards right now, which would be extremely impressive for the University of Alabama. And you know what's funny? No, I don't think no one from Ohio State has gotten anything. I don't even think that's. I think Trey Sermon and Justin Fields were nominated for their particular awards, but yeah, no one for Ohio State, which is in the national championship. They have not taken any particular awards. Yeah, I mean, I've always, I'm going to say it again. My biased self will always root for Alabama. It's always going to go for Alabama to win. But from a non-biased perspective, I just think Ohio State's going to win. I think Ohio State's going to win a very close game, and I think one thing that Steven kind of implemented is that Ohio State, I just think, is better in the trenches. I think from a defensive line perspective, they're better. Ohio State really doesn't need to send extra pressure or blitz. Who won this award? Okay, so Jim. Okay, so yeah, Patrick did not win. I think the guy for TCU won it. Congratulations to him. But I think that Ohio State can just simply rush four, and their four, I think, is just better than Alabama's four. Now, Alabama's one of the best teams in the country when it comes to predicated pressures. However, I just think Ohio State is more experienced in that particular area. I think they're more. I think they're just well more coached in that particular area. And based off what we saw last week, I just think Ohio State is going to continue that momentum. Now, are they going to completely stop Alabama for doing what they want to do? No, I think Alabama has a better offense than Clemson's offense. I think Alabama's offensive coordinator and their and as far as a play design and a schematic standpoint is a lot better than Clemson's. But when we talk about those battles, who's going to win more battles, Alabama's defense or Ohio State's defense? It starts in those trenches, and I think Ohio State is going to win in that particular area. I'm psyched about that, Amy. I'm super psyched about that game. Can't wait for it. I'm devastated. No, I'm not devastated, but I am disappointed that none of us could actually go to the football. Of course, there's some people that are going to the game. There's 7,000 people going to the Bills game. For those who don't know what she's talking about, Amy is a huge Bills fan. I also will be live streaming that game too, by the way. So if you guys want to stop by, you guys definitely can. But yeah, I'm super stoked for it, man. My first home game to actually kind of watch. I'm actually pretty excited to watch that game. I just hope they don't mess it up. Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley are questionable. I do believe they're going to be playing, but they're not going to be at 100%. Obviously, we're going to find out if those guys can just give it their best effort. But yeah, I hope Buffalo would definitely wins that game. I'm super excited for that game, Ames. And that's his damn fault. Exactly. Dan Mullen screwed. Dan Mullen, man. I'm Dan Mullen really screwed Florida away. Because think about this: if Kyle Pitts would have played that game, they would have won. Kyle Pitts would have played. Florida would have won that football game. But hey, he did this to himself. He did this to himself. A two-loss. They would have lost to Alabama anyway in the SEC championship game. But he did that to himself. Dan Mullen did that to himself. Oh no, Galato says that it says Trayvon Morgan. It says that he won the Jim Thorpe Awards. It says it on the ESPN joint right now. Hopefully, hopefully Diggs is ready. Hopefully Diggs is ready. Hopefully Diggs is ready. I want Stephon Diggs to play, definitely for sure. Let me tell you something. If Cleveland wins the Super Bowl, if Cleveland ever wins the Super Bowl, I would actually be happy for them. I would be really happy for them because man, they have gone through the gutter. They have gone through so much, man, for the Cleveland Browns, man. 0-16 seasons, uh, haven't won a game in 2 years or won one game in 2 years. All the inconsistencies, all the different coachings and top overall draft picks and Johnny Manziel and Justin Gilbert. It's been bad for Cleveland. So I actually would be happy if the Browns actually won the Super Bowl. But yeah, if Ohio State wins, and yeah, I mean, Ohio's gonna go crazy. Ohio's definitely gonna go crazy if both those things happen. But if Cleveland somehow in some way actually wins the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be mad. I actually would be pretty happy for them. Yeah, I definitely think that's the question, Deshaun, is did Ohio State actually play a really good offensive line like Clemson? Did they actually play a really good offensive line? Some people look at Notre Dame did a much better job against Alabama's offensive line than they did against Clemson. I will say this though is that Clemson's played them twice. They've played them twice, so they've pretty much had a good feel of how that defensive line kind of works. Um, and again, Alabama put up 28 points in the first half against Notre Dame, and they kind of tried to run off the clock a little bit. They slowed down their tempo. So, obviously, we're going to find out if Ohio State played against a really good offensive line. I think Ohio State did, and I think Ohio State has a really good defensive line. But at the same time, Alabama has an amazing offensive line. And if Lander Dickinson would have played in this football game, I think Alabama's offensive line would be fine. But he's not, and Chris Owens is going to be the guy. And I like Chris Owens, but he's not. He's no Lander Dickinson. And Ohio State has got guys, particularly at those nose tackle positions, that can eat up Chris Owens. Chris Owens is the weak link of this offense, and he's not a bad lineman, but he is the weak link. And Ohio State's got the personnel on the defensive side of the ball to kind of chew him up and make disruptions behind the line of scrimmage. So I am very interested to see if Ohio State's defensive line can live up to that bullying, or are we going to find out that Clemson just has an overrated offensive line? Last week just didn't really matter. Yeah, I agree with you, Ames. This is an exciting football game. I can't wait for Monday. Of course, I can't wait for Saturday too. But this weekend is just gonna be fire. We got a fire weekend. We got playoff football. We got the national championship on Monday. This is gonna be fire. It's gonna be fire, man. I can't wait. Yeah, I agree with you, Charles. And this team went through a lot of adversity. This team went through a lot of adversity. I mean, you're talking about COVID and a lot of guys going to the NFL and losing to a Tagovailoa, and then of course you're entering the season, and defensively they just don't really they just don't look right. They didn't look quite right. Pete Golding is not. I mean, Pete Golding for the most part wasn't doing a really good job. There's a lot of young players, particularly in the secondary, a lot of true freshmen that's playing. And then Ole Miss puts up 48 points against you, and it literally took two kind of flukish plays in order for Alabama to kind of pull away and win by double digits. to win that game against Ole Miss. Then you had the Georgia game a little bit, and Georgia pretty much scored 24 points in the first half. And then ever since then, Alabama just pulled away. So the fact that this group was able to come together, man, and yeah, I agree with you, man. Just that extra factor of going through adversity and going through all these trials and tribulations, and just having that unity in that family, it could at the end of the day give that advantage to Alabama. And again, Alabama could be a team of destiny. I mean, we said this about LSU last year. LSU was just a team of destiny, right? They were just blowing teams out. They were just scoring 60, 70 points on everybody. LSU was just winning that thing. Or Ohio State after they beat Alabama. No, nothing was going to deny them for winning that national championship. Maybe that this could be the same situation. Maybe Alabama's a team of destiny, but who knows? Maybe Ohio State, with all the trial of tribulation that they went through, maybe Ohio State is a team of destiny as well. Hey, what's going on, guy? Yeah, Georgia has a lot of talent. Georgia has a lot of talent, and I feel like the one thing that Alabama can definitely look at is Georgia, because you look at guys like Jordan Davis, you look at guys like Nolan Smith, Azeez Ojulari is one of the best pass rushers in the country, and then they went up against a pretty good secondary that I think is better than Ohio State secondary, like Eric Stokes and Tyson Campbell, and people are projecting Tyson Campbell to be a first round pick, and the safety Richard LeCount. So, obviously Georgia was obviously the best defense that Alabama ever went up against this year, and Alabama put up 41 points. Now Jaylen Waddle played, and Leonard Dickerson played. That's the difference, and Jaylen Waddle is probably going to be playing, but he's not going to be at 100%. And then obviously Chris Owens is the weak link of that offensive line, and he's going to be playing at the center position. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely see on Monday. But I agree with you is that Alabama does have that advantage of already going against a pretty good defense that was Georgia, and they put up 41 points against them and nearly 600 yards. They have they. Uh, that's a tough question, man. They have the potential to do that. Again, they have one of as far as drawing up plays, play designs, getting to the quarterback. Bama's one of the best. They got the players to attack Justin Fields. Their secondary bud is shaky, and Garrett Wilson lining up in the slot going against Malachi Moore, or if you line Garrett Wilson outside and going against Josh Jobe, Julian Fleming, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then you got the two tight ends that Alabama just has a problem of stopping. And then their running attack, like Ohio State's zone blocking schemes are phenomenal. And Ohio State, the last couple of games has been extremely hot, and no one has been able to stop it. Now, of course, it's Northwestern, but then there's a different tale when you're doing it against Clemson and you have that much success there. It's like that's a tough one. That's definitely a tough one. I'm not honestly too sure about it. They have the potential to do it, but obviously we're gonna find that out. And also, by the way, Devontae Smith won the Maxwell Award winner. So Devontae Smith he has won the Heisman Trophy, the Bolitnikoff Award, and he also won. I forgot what else. He won another award, and then he won the Maxwell Award. So congratulations, Devontae Smith, winning 4 awards, man, taking home 4 awards. And then of course Najee Harris took home the Doak Walker Award. So Alabama's bringing home 5 college football awards. Shout out to the University of Alabama, and shout out to Devontae Smith, killing it this year, especially in the awards department. By the way, we got 66 people in this live stream. If you guys are new, definitely slap that like button if you guys like the stream. If you guys are new here, definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well. Let's see if we can try to get this thing to up to 100 people. Last time we was able to do it. Let's see if we can try to get that number to 100 people. So if you guys share this live stream, share the channel. Definitely want to love to try to grow up this community even more for you guys. What's going on, Past Nation? Haven't seen you in a while, but what's going on, Past Nation? You know what? Aubrey, he reminds me a lot of Bo Scarborough. Remember Bo Scarborough when he back in 2016 when he wasn't the starter for the majority of the season, and then all of a sudden the Florida game came out of nowhere, and he's just running wild, and he's averaging 120 something yards a game, and he's busting out big runs, and he's the biggest contributor to the Alabama football. He's the biggest contributor of how the Alabama football team was able to get all the way to the national championship and how they almost won it. That's what Trey Sermon kind of reminds me of a little bit. He reminds me of this year's version of Bo Scarborough from 2016. Trey Sermon is extremely talented. He runs with physicality. He has a certain toughness about him. He has the speed. I mean, he's an all around really good running back, but he hasn't been that much of an impact player until late in the season. So yeah, Trey Sermon having all that momentum and really showcasing his skills, it's been huge for Ohio State, man. It's been really, really huge. And obviously, I don't think that's going to stop. I think that's going to continue going against Alabama. So, obviously we'll see on Monday, but yeah, I think, Trey Sermon, he is this year's version of Bo Scarborough. Yeah, I agree. Both offenses are going to ball out, man, and it's really about which defenses can capitalize on their opportunities. It's all about which defenses can capitalize on more opportunities, whether if it's Ohio State or Alabama. At the end of the day, you got to capitalize on the opportunities given to you. And both these teams are the best in the country when it comes to taking advantage of opportunities. So I don't think a lot of these teams are gonna. I don't think a lot of these offenses are gonna make a lot of mistakes. And if these defenses ever get the opportunity, they're gonna take advantage of it 100%. I'm not too sure about that. I'm guessing these guys are probably going to be moving out on Thursday, maybe Friday, or maybe particularly Friday, because normally they would go today. Actually, normally these teams would travel out today, and then of course Friday would be their Friday. No, Wednesday. Normally these guys will ship out Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday they will have their practices, but then they will have their press conferences too. But because everything is virtually online, I think these guys are honestly staying on their campuses. So probably these guys are shipping out maybe on Friday and getting ready for Saturday. I'm not too sure about that one, but maybe Friday, maybe Saturday. These guys will probably go again. Everything is like because everything is online and press conference and stuff like that. It's just messing up the entire schedule. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know if I should take that name seriously, but hey, what's going on? Okay, Ohio State's going to arrive on Miami Saturday night. Okay, yeah. So Sarah just confirmed that right there. So yeah, Saturday night those guys will be arriving. And probably the same thing will happen with Alabama. If not, maybe a little bit earlier. Alabama's Friday. Okay, Alabama's Friday and Ohio State is Saturday. Okay. Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that yesterday, Aubrey. Of course, for anyone who doesn't know, she made a tweet, pretty much calling out Ohio State for potentially postponing the game. So obviously, she came on Ashley today and she apologized. She said, "Listen, I'm wrong. And I was wrong to accuse Ohio State of holding back their players and using COVID as an excuse. He pretty much apologized for it. I guarantee you, Nick Saban called her up though. I guarantee you, Nick Saban called her up and said, "Yo, you need to apologize right the hell now." And and knowing how Daddy Saban is, you don't want to piss him off. So yeah, she definitely apologized, and obviously we'll see. I mean, hey, if you say it's serious, we're gonna take it serious. What's going on, Thought? We're gonna take it serious. No, but seriously, how are you and what's going on? Yeah, Mac Jones has been pretty efficient. He's been really, really efficient. Justin Fields, even though he's made a lot of mistakes, and still to this day there are a lot of Ohio State fans that are pissed off he wasn't even in Heisman finals. He had a couple of bad games that ruined him that for going to the Heisman, but he was able to kind of redeem himself a little bit. Justin Fields was able to put on one hell of a performance against Clemson, and obviously we'll find out. But even with Justin Fields having those two best games, we all know Justin Fields is still one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Roll Tide, brother. Roll Tide, Alabama fan. So of course, Alabama football fan Roll Tide. He is really confident that Alabama is going to go ahead, roll, roll with the win, get that national championship. Yes, yeah. Devontae Smith took home the Bolitnikoff Award. He took home, I forgot what the other award is called, the Bolitnikoff, and now he took home the Maxwell. I mean, Devontae Smith just pretty much took home 5 awards, damn near by himself, with Najee Harris taking home the Doak Walker Award. So Devontae Smith, he's walking home with a lot of hardware. But I will say this: if you don't, today was a recruiting pitch. A lot of these awards that happened today was a recruiting pitch, and I guarantee you, there's a lot of players, a lot of high school players looking at these awards, and they're going to be looking like, yeah, damn, Devontae Smith took home the Heisman, and he took home all these awards. Just imagine what I can do. I mean, today was a little bit of a recruiting pitch. Now, a lot of these schools like Ohio State, they don't need it because Ohio State, I mean, they don't even need to. Ohio State's getting guys and they're not even trying at the receiving position. But today was a little bit of a recruiting pitch. Alabama's definitely going to benefit today off this award show. Yeah, and that's a factor. Is that did Ohio State burn themselves? Again, I've been talking about this over the last 3 days, but did they burn themselves? I mean, if you take a look at the game, I mean, you got coaches making confetti angels. I mean, these guys are making angels in the confetti. I mean, these guys are treating the game like they have won the national championship. And again, when you lose to Ohio State 3 times in this century, when you get blown out by them, particularly, and you lost a couple of playoff semifinal games when you guys were that close for reaching the national championship game. Um, just taking that monkey off your back. I mean, who knows? Oh man, yeah, man, definitely sending prayers out to the family. Definitely sending some prayers out to the family, man. Let's definitely all pray for her and definitely hope that she has a speedy recovery. Man, like this thing's not a joke, man. I actually lost we actually one of my family members actually lost a family friend to COVID-19. So yeah, obviously this thing is no joke. And yeah, man, definitely praying for the family. All right. Okay, okay. Yeah, just again, Chris. Like I said, praying for the family. Hopefully your aunt recovers. Definitely hoping that they recover, have a speedy recovery, man. And again, appreciate for just sharing that. Appreciate for just sharing that in the stream. And again, thank you so much for. I mean, you don't even have to be here, but just thank you so much for stopping by and just sharing that, man. That takes a lot of heart. I don't know. I will say this though, man. Citadel's taking on some bank. Citadel's taking home a lot of money. I'll say that. I mean, they're Citadel, if they could, would play all the top ranked teams right now. As long as they get paid, they'll play them. Ooh, the Buckeyes. You guys agree with that? You think the Buckeyes are the standard for college football? I appreciate that, Chris. You know, uh no, no. I didn't think they belonged in the top four. To be honest with you, I thought Cincinnati should have deserved a shot. Hell, I would have thrown Coastal Carolina there because Coastal Carolina followed the criteria. I'm about to go on a rant. Coastal Carolina followed the criteria. They didn't even get an opportunity. Cincinnati followed the criteria, never got an opportunity. Notre Dame, yes, they beat Clemson. They did their thing, but guess what? They got blown out in the conference championship game. And we need to reward these group. I mean, how do you make a criteria? The reason why you made this list, the reason why you made the college football playoffs was so that you don't have this corruption, or so that you can give these non-group of five teams an opportunity if they prove themselves. We have seen three teams now kind of proving themselves, and they did not get a shot. Cincinnati battled with Georgia. I'm not saying they would have gone and beat Alabama, but I would have just gave him an opportunity. I would have given him a shot. I mean, everyone knew, no one believed that Notre Dame was gonna have a chance against Alabama. Everybody thought they was gonna get blown out. Everyone thought Notre Dame was gonna get blown out by Alabama. No one thought that game was even gonna be close, and it ended up coming true. Bama blew them out. And people gonna say, well, no, Notre Dame, of course, they won that game by like what, 17 or something points. Notre Dame scored in garbage time. They scored in garbage time, and if it wasn't for the Nick Saban penalty, the score would have remained 7-31. And Alabama could have put up even more than that. Even Clemson could have put up more than what they did in the SEC championship game. I don't believe they should have never got in, but guess what? A&M should never even got in either, as we saw against a depleted North Carolina football team. So I feel like Cincinnati and some of these group non-power power conference teams, like a Coastal Carolina, should have got an opportunity, because we all knew what the result was going to be with A&M and Notre Dame, and they didn't win their conference championships. Notre Shame, Notre Shame, Notre freaking Shame. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we might have to call them Notre Shame. To be honest, I would have rather seen Oklahoma. I would have rather seen Oklahoma in the college football playoffs. I mean, like I said, a lot of people have banned them for them to get in, but I would have rather seen them get in. I mean, they're 5-0 in bowl games. I would have rather seen them get in the college football playoffs. They would have made a much better opponent, and they also won, which was supposed to be an important criteria. They won a conference championship in a Power Five conference. Notre Dame didn't do that. But of course, what did the playoff committee think? They thought that Notre Dame was one of the four best teams, instead of actually following a list that they all created. Just goes to show you how full of shit the playoff committee and the college football playoffs are. I honestly believe we should go back to the computers. You know what, Neil, I will say this, man. No matter how many, we can get this to a 16 team. We can get this to a 6 team playoff format, and I still think it's gonna be full of crap, because then it's gonna be, what's the debate of the 16th best team? Because I honestly believe that the 15 through 25 order, or maybe the 10 through 25 order, I think it's kind of full of crap too. I think that the playoff committee just puts whoever they want to put there, instead of actually going by their list. I think no matter how much you kind of expand it by, there's always going to be someone complaining, and there's always going to be some messed up thing that we're always going to be talking about. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you make a good point there. Shaun Wade is really good when it comes to when it comes to playing off coverage. Really good in zone. I will say this though, as an outside guy, however, I just don't think he's ready as an outside guy. As an inside guy, as a slot, Shaun Wade's a monster. Shaun Wade's a beast, particularly when he plays off coverage, or he can man you up straight up. Um, Now, again, against Devontae Smith, I am interested if they're going to have some help with Shaun Wade, if they're going to be playing some off coverage and just have someone play over the top with him. But, um, you know, I think Shaun Wade's a pretty good corner. I think he's in on a unnatural position of playing as an outside guy. I think he's more of an inside guy. But obviously, we're going to find out about that on Monday. Yeah, Ohio State. I mean, let me tell you something about that game, guys. I remember watching that game when Alabama was up. What was the score? 21-3 at halftime, and Reuben Foster hit the crap out of one of those players. And Amari Cooper was doing his thing, and TJ Elding and Derrick Henry were doing their thing, and Blake Sims was doing his thing, and Alabama's defense and Jonathan Allen was having the game of his life. I I legit turned the game off because I thought, oh, Bama's gonna blow them out, and I'm tired. I took a nap, and by the time I woke up, Ohio State Ohio State at 35 points. I think the score was like what 35-21, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? What the hell just happened? And my jaw was literally on the ground the entire time. I'm literally watching Cardell Jones running all over Alabama's defense, and they couldn't stop him. Ezekiel Elliott had over 200 and almost 300 yards, had over 250 something yards against Alabama. It was a nightmare to watch. It was a nightmare. And I'm hoping the same thing doesn't happen. I hope that Bama doesn't give me hope and they're up by 24 or 20 something 8 points. And then Ohio State in the second half just comes out of nowhere and they just run rampant and score 40 something straight points against Alabama. But, well, again, obviously we're going to find that. I think this is going to be a back and forth game the entire time. Yeah, it's just I just think that Aubrey he's playing in an unnatural position. He's just playing in an unnatural position in my opinion. Like he's a really good corner when you actually place him in his right position, which is the slot, or you can place him as a safety. And I think Shaun Wade would be an NFL safety. But playing as an outside corner, that's something that he's just not really used to, and especially because limited amount of games, limited amount of training camps, so he hasn't really had that much work. And now he's still trying to learn it. He's still trying to get better. But for anyone who's ever played corner, there is a difference for playing in the slot and playing in the outside. There's different amount of responsibilities. There's really different amount of responsibilities, and you're playing against a lot. You're playing against number one guys, more particularly on the outside, which Shaun Wade is. Shaun Wade's the number one guy. I mean, I've been saying this Crimson for I don't know how long now. This is the developmental year for Alabama. I didn't even expect Alabama to reach the national championship. This is the developmental year for the Crimson Tide. So if they win the national championship, yeah, they're going to be depleted a little bit on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively, they're taking over. Defensively, with the amount of talent that's coming back for them next year on the defensive side of the ball, it is going to be a very exciting time. And to be honest with you, a lot of Bama fans will probably prefer Bama's defense to be the way it is. Um, and maybe Bama's offense maybe take a little bit of a step back, but defensively, for them to just go back to just not just being a good defense, but for them to be in a dominant defense, that's what Bama fans miss. We miss a dominant defense. That's what we want. It just makes life easier stopping offenses that way. But I think Bama will go back to that. I think they have the depth. I think they have the if I think if Pete Golding does, I think Pete Golding will probably come back. So it's 3 years under Pete Golding now that a lot of these players will be under. I'm excited for next year, man. I think Alabama's going to be really good next year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Ooh, well, will Jalen Waddle come back? He could honestly. I mean, Jalen Waddle might he say, hey, I got unfinished business as far as my Alabama career. I always wanted to be the number one guy, and as soon as I was the guy, I got hurt. So who knows? Maybe Jalen Waddle will decide to come back for next year. I think he'll go to the NFL, of course, because I just don't think you can't pass on a millions of dollars like that. But you know, and he's a for sure first round pick in a lot of mock drafts. Now mock drafts are different, but you never know. And I will say this: if Jalen Waddle plays in this football game, and if he showcases that if he has a good game, he doesn't really even need to come back. He doesn't even need to come back if Jalen Waddle plays a really good game against Ohio State. I think that's the game right there. If he plays and if he has a good game, he doesn't even need to. And I think Bama fans would probably say, "No, bro, go get your money." Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will agree. I mean, I would love for him to come back, but at the end of the day, go get your money, dog. I'd rather just go ahead and get your money. Don't risk another injury. Go ahead and get your money. Oh, Moses, it could happen. I mean, you never know. Dylan Moses could potentially come back. This year, man, Dylan Moses was playing he was playing in a lot of pain. Wasn't really playing at the top of his ability because he was still dealing with recovering from his ACL injury. So who knows if Dylan Moses feels like he's still. And you know what? Dylan Moses did not look like a first round pick. Even with the entire injury history, I think maybe him coming back is probably a benefit since he's maybe next year. I think for him, he would be a lot better and he would be a lot better when recovery wise. So who knows? I think next year would probably be a benefit for him if he decided to come back compared to him just going to the NFL draft. Because if he goes to the NFL, he's not going to be a first round pick. He's going to be either a second rounder or a third rounder. But who knows? You know what? I talked about this yesterday. Fields needs to be in the conversation. I talked about this earlier. What's the difference between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields? Like seriously, like what's the difference between Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence? Because if you take a look at the similarities, they're both big. They both got the accuracy, especially down the field. They got the strength. They got the arm strength. They got the mobility. They got the pocket awareness. They can throw the tight spiral. They can throw the spirals from anywhere. They're under great, not only good offensive coordinators, but really good offensive coaches, really good quarterback coaches, and really good head coaches. Like I don't see the difference. I mean, Justin Fields, I think he struggles a little bit against zone coverage, but I think that notion is probably going to get taken away because he did it against Clemson. Clemson's if they're one of the best teams, and not the best team when it comes to zone coverage, and he shredded them, took them apart with bruised ribs and an injured hip, with his mobility taken out. Look at Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has not been this perfect guy. We've seen some struggles from Trevor Lawrence over the years. Now, we've seen a lot of positive things about Trevor Lawrence, and he looks like a number one overall pick. But we've seen games where he looks like he doesn't even look like a first round pick. So I don't see the major differences that separate Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. I don't see it. I don't see this huge gap for Trevor Lawrence being the number one overall pick, and then there's Justin Fields at the number two with Zach Wilson and Trey Lance at the back end. I think it's neck and neck, honestly. I think that everyone is just saying, "Hey, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number one pick." I honestly think it's a lot closer than people expected. I gotta scroll up. That's because that right there, Neil. That right there, Neil, is why Justin Fields should be in the conversation. Mental toughness. We've seen Trevor Lawrence shiver under the pressure. Now, the Ohio State football game, he took Clemson and he carried that team. I got to give it up to Trevor Lawrence for that. I got to give Trevor Lawrence that credit. However, what did Justin Fields do? What did Justin Fields do last week? Took the team, took the team, carried that team to a win. Took the team on his back, took the pressure, and not just that, he was injured, had bruised ribs, had an injured hip. What happened? 6 touchdowns, six touchdown passes. So I have seen Trevor Lawrence crumble more under the pressure in his career than Justin Fields has at Ohio State. I just don't see where this big gap between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields is. I don't see it. I don't see the gap. I don't see it. So who knows? Maybe the Jaguars are already set, and maybe Trevor Lawrence will be the #1 overall pick. But if Justin Fields has another good game against this Alabama defense, and he's not even considered as a #1 overall pick, then it is what it is. It's a possibility. I mean, to be honest with you, if Miller Forrestall will come back, fine. But I'm more set on Jaleel Billingsley. I'm more set on Jaleel Billingsley. Like, yes, Miller Forrestall is a pretty good blocking tight end, but Jaleel Billingsley, man, is that receiving tight end that we've been missing. That Irv Smith, OJ Howard type of player. We missed that receiving threat. That extra receiving threat, man. I honestly would kind of want Miller Forrestall to move on. Like, I don't hate Miller Forrestall. I like Miller Forrestall. He's done great wonders for the program. But Jaleel Billingsley's the better tight end. He's the better overall tight end, and more importantly, in a passing in an offense that's more predicated on passing it than running it. I would rather have Jaleel Billingsley being in our offensive set because it actually kind of pisses me off that Jaleel Billingsley gets like 7 snaps and he only gets targeted a couple of times in the receiving game, and Miller Forrestall gets all these different targets. He gets more targets than Billingsley. That actually kind of just pisses me off. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Forrestall comes back, but still, I think Jaleel Billingsley should be the guy. I think he should be the guy moving forward. Oh, don't disrespect Sarah. Don't disrespect John Mechie now. Don't disrespect John Mechie now. Come on now. He's no Devontae Smith, but he's a good player. Don't disrespect him. Oh, there's a lot of trash talk going on in these comments, man. I love it. I love it, man. I love it. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what college football is all about. Definitely what college football is all about. Anyway, guys, we got 77 people in the live stream. If you guys are new to the live stream, make sure to hit that like button, especially if you guys are enjoying what you're getting right now. Again, if you guys want more content, want more live streams, we will be live streaming. I also will be live streaming around the same time tomorrow, so make sure to stop by the live stream. Definitely enjoy it. Now, of course, I don't think I'm going to talk about college football because, well, no, I will definitely talk about more about this game. Saturday, I will be live streaming. I'll be, for the most part, streaming wildcard games. But Monday, we will be having a watch party again, 7 o'clock. 7 to maybe 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be having a little watch party. We'll be streaming the entire Alabama Ohio State game. So definitely make sure to pop by the chat, enjoy yourselves, chat among yourselves, talk about anything you guys want, even during the football game. but it should be definitely a fun one. Just seeing both of these fan bases talk trash like we are seeing right about now. It is World War III in these chats. I love it. Yeah, I think Craig, Clemson, I think Clemson is a little young. I think Clemson's young. They had a lot of young guys. I definitely think they took a little step back this year. I think they can definitely resume. We got to remember that Clemson has for the first time a top five recruiting class, and Clemson right now has a top five recruiting class. So Clemson will only just continue to get better in talent. They got the coaching staff because for some reason no one wants to go to Clemson and take any of their coaches. Everybody wants to go to Alabama. Everybody wants to go to Ohio State and take their coaches. No one wants to go to Clemson to take their coaches. So Clemson will continue to develop players and they'll continue to be back there. Um, I'll Another reason is maybe the downplay of their competition finally caught up with Clemson. We've kind of talked about this for years. I think maybe the downplay of their competition finally caught up with them once they actually did play against an elite football team. Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it all. I love it all. I love the trash talk. Love the trash talk. Clemson's O line is garbage. That's the question. I think that's the question going into this year. Was Clemson's offensive line just that damn garbage, or um, was Ohio State's defensive line that damn good? Because if Ohio State does the same thing to Alabama's offensive line, I think that we just I I just think that Ohio State's defensive line is just that damn good, and they're just those boys. But obviously, we're gonna find that out on Monday. All right, I'm gonna be right back real quick, guys. I'm gonna get myself a quick drink, but I will be back in about a couple of minutes. All right, I am back here. Just got myself a quick drink. What is going on in these comments? Let's see. Oh, we got some bets going on. Let's see. Let's see. We got some bets. I want to see it, man. I want to see it. Yeah, I agree with you, Santiago. I agree. I completely agree with you, Santiago. I just don't see the gap between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields this year. I think they're close. They're both obviously two of the best quarterbacks in college football, but where's the gap? Where's the significant gap, especially going into the draft where everyone is just saying that Trevor Lawrence is the number one overall pick? I just don't see it. Especially, I think the matchup actually indicates that Justin Fields is a little bit better than Trevor Lawrence. And it's not like Clemson's defensive line wasn't getting any pressure. They were getting pressure on Justin Fields. It's just that Justin Fields didn't crumble under the pressure. Oh hell no, Trevor Lawrence. I think the game that killed it for me. I think the Boston College game. Trevor Lawrence had a really good game, but that Boston College game killed it for me. That game just killed it for me. He did not have a good game against Boston College. Struggled in that football game, and I think that game alone for me and the amount of games that he played this year with the amount of limited games that he played. I mean, you need to be flawless in the games that you kind of played. I think Mac Jones has had. I think Mac Jones honestly could have had more. What could have been more deserving. I mean, he had more Heisman moments than Trevor Lawrence, more highlight reels, higher stat games than Trevor Lawrence. Justin Fields, he struggled in a couple of games. The Northwestern game, and then of course the Indiana game. Of course, with all those turnovers, I feel like that kind of killed his Heisman chances. It really was between Devontae Smith and Mac Jones. Even though Trevor Lawrence was second, it really should have been between Mac Jones and Devontae Smith for the Heisman Trophy. Now, if Trevor Lawrence would have had a good game against Boston College, then it could have been a different story. Trevor Lawrence, even with the amount of games he played, probably still would have won the Heisman Trophy because Trevor Lawrence was the favorite heading into this thing. And I feel like a lot of these Heisman voters would have probably gave it to him. But I feel like that Boston College game kind of killed his chances. Yeah, that's a good point. Ole Miss did put up 48 points. I wouldn't be shocked if they actually do play more zone this game than they ever did before. Now, Alabama, they typically love to kind of just play their man players up, and they love to jam. They love to be physical up front, and they love to leave their players on an island. But against this Ohio State football team with the amount of weapons that they have, I could see, I could see them playing a lot of zone and setting a lot of blitzes. Now, of course, again, Bama's one of the best teams in the country when it comes to predicated pressure, especially against the pass. Um, Bama, Alabama, they're gonna contain, even with the fact that Justin Fields is injured, he's not 100%, and maybe taking away that extra dimension of his legs, he's still a threat. So I can see them trying to contain, but maybe squeeze the pocket, try to squeeze that pocket, make him feel uncomfortable, and see if he's gonna crumble under the pressure. All right, yep. So Santiago, man, just he's a Ohio State fan, but hey, listen, not going to be engaging in the trash talk. Not going to be engaging in the trash talk. That's all I'm about. Listen, I'm a Bama fan too, man. I am not going to trash talk. I did that in 2014, and I actually bought, and I actually the bet was that I had to buy an Ohio State jersey. I had to buy an Ezekiel, not an Ezekiel Elliott jersey. It was a whose jersey was it? Actually, whose jersey was it? I think it was a Joey Bosa jersey. It was a Joey Bosa jersey. It was like a 97. Yeah, I think it was a Joey Bosa jersey. I had to buy like a jersey, and I bought a Joey Bosa jersey, and I had to wear that jersey for I had to wear that jersey for about a month. So, yeah, I'm not trash talking again and doing bets. I'm not doing that again, man. We're just gonna find out what happens on that Monday. But obviously, man, we all can't wait for Monday. Even with all the trash talk and everything going on, we cannot wait until Monday. And I can't wait. And hopefully, it's a good game. I'm hoping that this is not a blowout. I'm hoping we're going to get a straight up clean game, no injuries, and no matter who wins or lose, respect at the end of the day is definitely going to be due. And obviously, we want these kids to stay healthy. And a lot of these players after this game are going to be going to the NFL. So obviously, we want these kids to all be healthy at the end of the day. And obviously, the biggest accomplishment this year was that Clemson didn't make it. So that was honestly the closest thing to winning a national championship to me was Clemson not being in this damn game again because I'm tired of seeing Clemson in the national championship. I think we all can agree on that. They won 7 out of 15 awards. My God. Yeah, Alabama dominated today's college football wars. Now, of course, they got to take on the trophy. It means nothing, man, if you can't win the trophy. And I guarantee you, these Ohio State players, they might actually. I think you know what? I'm actually going to consider this. They actually might use this as motivation. Does anyone think that they're going to use this as motivation a little bit? Of course, Ohio State, they love to kind of use anything to add fuel to the fire. The fact that they took home, I think, no awards. I don't even think a lot of these guys were considered. So this could be a little motivation. The fact that Alabama took home all these awards and that Ohio State was pretty much none of that. I think maybe one player was nominated. So maybe a little motivation could be added for Ohio State as extra fuel to the fire. I say, at the end of the day, man, Bama. Yep. At the end of the day, man, we've seen it before. We've seen Alabama took them a bunch of awards. Yeah, they care about winning the national championships, but who knows, man? Ohio State, you never know them. They love to they love to use anything as far as extra motivation, extra fuel. Maybe this could be it for them. I think we all agree with that, man. As fans, we're not taking home these awards. We want that ring. We want that ring at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Ooh, hold up. Ohio State against the world. That's been the motto. You know what's funny? That was actually trending on Twitter a little earlier today. I don't know if anyone caught that. It was a tweet of I think it was Ohio State against the world. That was the hashtag was Ohio State against the world or something like that. Um, but yeah, I said this earlier, man. No one wants Ohio State besides Ohio State fans to win the national championship this year. It's actually crazy that Alabama is now the hero and that Ohio State is considered the villain. And I think a huge reason why because Big Ten Conference, what they did, and how the season was almost canceled because of the Big Ten Conference. So now people are like, oh, hell no. Imagine if a Big Ten team wins the national championship and now the commissioner is now gloated and people will kind of get him off scot free. So now, I mean, I've seen LSU fans, they hate Alabama. They're rooting for Alabama to win the national championship. So, you know, it's crazy that the script has finally kind of flipped and Bama's the hero and Ohio State is now the villain in this situation. Gonna like God, man. Alabama's like God, and they're about to punish the Ohio State Buckeyes. We will find out if that is going to be the case. I am one of those people that hope that that actually does happen. That's just me. But again, yeah, we'll find that out on Monday. I think if Mac Jones is in the right offense, I think he can compete. If Mac Jones is in the right offense, I definitely think he can compete. Now, if you put him on the Jets, No. You put him on the Jaguars? No. You put him on any of these lower level teams where the culture is not set and the coaching staff is not into place and there's a bunch of anarchy and it's not going to happen. And to be fair, a lot of quarterbacks that get drafted by these low level franchises, they don't end up turning well. Andrew Luck's career was damn near ended because of how toxic the franchise of the Colts were and kind of how that foundation really wasn't in place. Um, so Mac Jones, I think if he goes to the Saints and he has a mentor like Drew Brees, or if he goes to the Falcons, or if he goes to the Panthers, I think that those are teams that he could fit very well with, or even the late rounds. Like if he goes to, let's say, I'm not saying that the Kansas City Chiefs, because obviously they got their quarterback, but yeah, like even if the Packers, if they never would have took Jordan Love and they would have took Mac Jones, you got a mentor in Aaron Rodgers, and you have a pretty good offensive coordinator, and you have a foundation, the culture already set. So Mac Jones just needs to be in a place where everything's in place for him. He has the weapons, the offensive line. The Indianapolis Colts will be a perfect destination because they got the line, they got the receivers, you clearly got the coaching staff, and then you got a quarterback whisperer like Frank Reich, and then you get to sit behind a mentor like like Philip Rivers. So I feel like Mac Jones just needs to be in the perfect destination in order for him to succeed at the next level. New England needs a quarterback. New England definitely needs a quarterback. And one thing that they do have is that they have the culture. All right. Bill Belichick, it's obviously bad, but a lot of opt outs, no receivers, but they do have the culture already established. So who knows? I mean, Bill Belichick won 6 Super Bowls with a prototypical pocket passer. Mac Jones is a guy that is, of course, more athletic than Tom Brady. Maybe Mac Jones could very well end up being that guy. He has great accuracy, great pocket awareness, knows how to go to his checkdowns. Matter of fact, he might be the best quarterback when it comes to going to his checkdowns. And he has everything you kind of need in the guy, including leadership. He has the intangibles. Maybe New England will go up there and take Mac Jones. Maybe they don't need to trade up and try to get a Justin Fields. Maybe Mac Jones is the perfect quarterback for them. Yeah, these national championship games the last couple of years, it's been disappointing in a way the last couple of years. I do hope that this is going to be a game here. I think we all hope that this is going to be a really, really good game. Now, Ohio State fans take the win either way. Whether it's a blowout or close game, Bama fans will say the exact same thing. But for me, I am hoping that we get a good game. I hope we get a close game. And I hope that this game lives up to the billing and it lives up to the anticipation. I really do hope so. Who do I think is taking Smitty? I'm gonna say the Eagles. I think he's gonna be the number one overall. I think he's going to be the number one overall receiver. I think Jamar Chase taking an opt out, taking the leave might actually hurt him a little bit. I think Devontae Smith really because even though Jamar Chase was the best receiver in college ball last year, he played opposite of Justin Jefferson and he played in Terrence Marshall. He played behind two guys that one of them was a first round pick. Marshall might also be a first round pick. Devontae Smith, yes, he played against Jalen Waddle, but as soon as Jalen Waddle got hurt, Devontae Smith became the man. And as soon as he got, and as soon as he was drawing in all these different type of coverages, no one could still stop him. And Devontae Smith became the man. He became the alpha male of that football team. So I think that just that alone, a lot of NFL teams will look at and will say, as a number one receiver, we've seen Devontae Smith step up and be that man without any other top level receivers playing opposite of him. So I think the Eagles, with the way that they are right now, and they need that number one guy, that number one presence on their team. Devontae Smith could end up being that guy, and I don't want him to go to Philadelphia, but still, I mean, still Devontae Smith pairing up with Jalen Hurts, that wouldn't be bad. Yeah, man, that's what we're hoping for, man. I am hoping for a classic. I am hoping that for this game to live up to the billing. I'm hoping that this game ends up being just an all-time great game that we can look back on 5 years from now, 5, 10, 20 years from now, and we can say, yeah, this game lived up to the billing. It lived up to the hype for damn sure. Um, damn, that's actually a good question. I'm gonna say Justin Fields, and the reason why I'm gonna say Justin Fields is because his legs. I think as quarterbacks, as pocket passers, obviously there's talent. I think Justin Fields is more talented, and he has a higher ceiling, has much better upside. Mac Jones is again great pocket awareness, great accuracy, really strong arm, very accurate deep passer. Knows his checkdowns really well. But Justin Fields can do those things too. He's really good at those things as well, if not better than Mac Jones in a lot of than Mac Jones in those particular areas. And he can take off. I think the utilization of his legs, I think definitely separates Mac Jones from being better than Justin Fields. I agree with you, Luke. Bama has struggled with tight ends, man. And one thing that kind of scared me was the fact that Ohio State finally utilized their tight ends. And these are guys that are not just blocking guys or guys that are just going to be yards after the catch guys. These are red zone threats. And one thing Bama has struggled with is tight ends, particularly in the red zone as well. So I am very interested to see if those guys are going to be matched up against our linebackers or matched up against our safeties, and we haven't really done the best job in the world of covering those guys, of covering those type of guys. Now, are they Kyle Pitts? No. Are they Kenny Yeboah? No. But they are guys that can shield defenders. They're strong. They're physical blockers, and they're very important in the run game as well. So yeah, that's a big concern. We got the Chris Olaves, we got the Garrett Wilsons, all those Ohio State receivers, and obviously those guys are going to be threats. But yeah, a bigger mismatch concern could be those tight ends going against our safeties and our linebacking core. Most importantly, guys, Dylan Moses and Christian Harris. And Justin Fields is no Ian Buck. Justin Fields can make all different type of passes. So definitely going to be a challenge for sure. Bama's best win. It could be you can say Georgia's their best win. You could say Florida. Notre Dame technically would be their best win because Notre Dame has the most wins out of all those teams. I would probably say Georgia's their best win. I think Georgia's the best team Alabama's played up this year. I think Georgia will beat the crap. I think Georgia would beat Notre Dame. Georgia has better personnel. Georgia has better personnel than Notre Dame does. But yeah, I would say Alabama's best win is definitely Notre Dame and shit. Ohio State. Ohio State prior to that Clemson one, their best one of the year was going against Northwestern. I don't even say Northwestern. Indiana was probably the better team than Northwestern, to be honest. I don't you know what, Fred? I don't even think Justin Fields is the biggest problem. The biggest concern is the running game. If Alabama stops Ohio State's running game, I think they win the game. It's all about the trenches, man. I mean, it's all about who's going to win more battles in the trenches. But if Alabama can stop Trey Sermon, which I don't think that's going to happen, but if they can stop Trey Sermon and force Justin Fields to be that pocket passer without him escaping the pocket, if they can contain him right, Bama's won the game. And the same thing could be said about Ohio State. If you stop Najee Harris's run game and just take him out the game completely, especially in the receiving game, you can make an argument Ohio State has already won the game now because now, even though Alabama can still throw for a lot of yards, we have seen how important the run game and how important these running backs are to their respective teams. And to just take them out completely out could be huge. Yeah, that's the question. Is that can Alabama stop the run? We've seen Ohio State do it. We've seen Ohio State prove that they can stop an elite run offense. So can Alabama step up to the challenge and do it? Something we got to find out. They did a good job against Notre Dame, which has a really good running game. But I've always said this: I like Kyron Williams, but that offensive line made Kyron Williams, not the other way around. So they did a really good job against stopping the run. Can they do it another time? Can they do it a second time going against Ohio State's physical offensive line led by Wyatt Davis and those guys? And by the way, Ohio State was missing an offensive lineman last week that's now returning for this game. So that's going to be huge for them. Braxton Miller. Yep, I remember that, man. Braxton Miller was again. Braxton Miller, man. Braxton Miller had a tough ass break when he got hurt and got switched to quarterback. And just as an Alabama fan, guess what? We had a receiver that ended up as a quarterback and Blake Sims and played in the playoff game against Ohio State. On the offensive side of the ball, Fred, let me go back to that comment. On the offensive side of the ball, no one stopped Alabama's offense yet on the offensive side of the ball. I would say Notre Dame has done the best job. I would say Notre Dame and Missouri are the two best defenses against Alabama, and they're the only two teams that Missouri held Alabama to less than 400 yards. Missouri held Alabama to less than 400 yards total. So I think they're the only team that did that, and Alabama was still able to score 38 points. Um, but besides that, Notre Dame also held them to a low total in 474 yards total. So yeah, no one has proven that they can stop them yet. I don't think really anybody can. It's all about can you slow them down. I feel like the best teams to do that have been Notre Dame and Missouri. Yeah, I agree with you, Galato. No, I don't think he's coming back. I think Jalen Waddle's going to the NFL. I just think with this year coming around and the fact that he dealt with that injury, I just feel like for him, don't pass up on this opportunity. I mean, he's gonna be a first round pick. I think he's got the film too. I mean, those 5 games alone, he could have played those 5 games and opted out for the rest of the year. He still would have been a first round pick, if not a top 5 pick. Jalen Waddle, I feel like has proven himself on the football field. I don't think he needs to come back. Now, if he does decide to come back, that's fine. Oh, that's cool. If he does decide to come back, that's amazing. That's fine. But just I would say just for his sake, go ahead, get that money. Hero, man, yeah, hero, man. I mean, these are two of the most proficient offenses in college football. Two of the most proficient offenses in college football. Um, and obviously, we're gonna find, and obviously, these are gonna be two offenses that are not going to be easily stopped. The question is, which defense can kind of slow down the particular offense the most? Will Anderson, man, Will Anderson is going to be a first round pick in about a couple years. There's no question about it. That dude has been a menace all year. Besides what, if it wasn't for Georgia playing in that game against Cincinnati, Will Anderson led the SEC in sacks, also led the SEC in quarterback pressures. Will Anderson has not only been our best uh, pass rusher, he's been one of our best defensive players, if not probably right behind Pat Surtain as our best defensive player of the year. So Will Anderson's a guy. Will Anderson versus Nicholas Piet-Pierre. Let's all watch out for that matchup. With Nicholas Piet-Pierre versus Will Anderson, two former 5 stars going against each other. That is going to be one hell of a watch, people. That is going to be one hell of a watch right there. Oh yeah, Devontae Smith against Shaun Wade, man. That's the matchup. Shaun Wade called them out, man. Shaun Wade say, "Listen, man, I want him. I don't need to say much, but you know who I want. Devontae Smith, Shaun Wade. Shaun Wade wants him. He's gonna get him. He's gonna get him. He's gonna get some matchups, guaranteed, guaranteed." All right, but anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for me. I'm gonna call it for at least for today. I'm starting to get a little tired. We have been streaming for around a couple of hours too, so yeah, I'm just gonna call it. We've had a lot of people in this live chat so far, so thank you guys so much for stopping by the live chat, stopping by the stream, and just supporting. If you guys have liked this thing, definitely hit the like button, share the stream if you guys can, and also subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. Also, just helps out my channel a lot. But yeah, thank you guys so much, the usual suspects, for stopping by the stream. Really, really appreciate you guys for stopping by. And we will be live streaming tomorrow. We're going to get this thing going tomorrow. We're going to have more discussions about Alabama, Ohio State, more live Q&As. And around this time, 7:30. Can't wait for you guys to stop by again. Hopefully, you guys will stop by again. So, yeah, that is going to just do it for me. Again, thank you guys so much for stopping by the stream. And I will check you guys out later tomorrow night. So, anyway, Jan716, aka Jan Sports. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. And I am out. Peace.